AITAH for wanting to back out of buying my partner a specific Christmas present. I know how ridiculous this sounds, but the entire situation has spiraled into something I never expected. It didn't start as a fight. It didn't start as drama. It started with a Christmas gift, one simple gift that somehow turned into a threat, a secret, and something I'm almost afraid to talk about. But let me explain from the beginning. The gift he wanted more than anything, my partner, Evan, is the type of man who never asks for anything ever. For birthdays, for anniversaries, for holidays, he always says, "Just having you is enough." Which sounds sweet until you realize it means you are constantly guessing and second-guessing what to get him. But this year was different. This year, he finally asked for something. It happened in early November. We were lying in bed and he suddenly said, out of nowhere, "There's something I really want for Christmas." I froze, partly excited, partly shocked. "What is it?" I asked, smiling. He hesitated. That was my first red flag. Evan never hesitates. Not about anything. Finally, he whispered, "The Blackwell edition." I thought it was a book, or a watch, or some collector's item had mentioned once in passing. It wasn't. When I asked what it was, he said only this: "It's something I've been waiting for my whole life." Not helpful. When I asked where to find it, he said, "You'll get instructions. Just promise me you'll follow them exactly." That was red flag number 2. The first instruction, a week later, a plain white envelope arrived in our mailbox. No return address. No stamp. Just my name in handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside was a card with a single sentence. "Friday, 9 p.m. Bring cash. Come alone." That was it. I showed it to Evan, expecting confusion, maybe laughter. Instead, he just smiled. Relieved. "That's it," he said. "That's the first step." First step to what? Getting my gift. Something about the way he said my gift made my stomach twist. He saw my expression and reached for my hands. "Babe, I know it's weird. I know it's unusual, but this is really important to me. Just follow the instructions. Trust me." Evan never pushes me, never demands anything. So when he made this request, quietly, intensely, I felt obligated to honor it. I agreed. I shouldn't have. The meeting Friday night. I drove to the address printed lightly on the back of the card, so faintly I almost missed it. It led to an old strip mall on the edge of town. Most stores were abandoned. Only one unit had its lights on. No sign. Just a door slightly ajar. Inside was a man in a long coat, sitting at a card table like he was waiting for me. "You're here for the Blackwell?" he asked without looking up. Something in my brain screamed to run. But I said, "Yes." He slid a notebook toward me. "Then write your partner's full name." I hesitated. "Why?" "It's part of the process." I didn't move. The man looked up at me then, and his eyes, I swear, were the coldest I've ever seen. Not angry, not threatening, just empty. "You can leave," he said. "But if you do, hell no." Hell no what? That you didn't want to do this for him. My heart thudded painfully. Somewhere deep down, a very primal fear told me this is wrong. So I stood up. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I can't do this." He didn't stop me, didn't threaten me. He just said, "The offer closes at midnight. After that, well, it's out of our hands." I didn't look back. Evan's reaction when I returned home. Evan was sitting on the couch, waiting. "How did it go?" he asked. I froze in the doorway. Something in his voice, it wasn't Evan. It was too calm, too rehearsed, too expectant. "I didn't do it," I said. "I'm sorry, but it didn't feel right. I didn't feel safe. I didn't understand what I was doing." Silence, long, terrifying. Then Evan said softly, "You shouldn't have left. I didn't trust the situation. You should have trusted me." His eyes were darker than I'd ever seen. Not angry. Disappointed. Deeply, deeply disappointed. I tried to explain. I told him about the man, the notebook, the strange instructions. But Evan didn't look confused, didn't look surprised. He just said he was legitimate. "How do you know?" Evan didn't answer, didn't blink, didn't breathe, just stared, and finally whispered, "Midnight was the deadline." Something inside me snapped. "Evan, what is the Blackwell edition? What was I signing? Why did someone need your full name? What is going on?" He stood up slowly, walked toward me, and with a voice I barely recognized, he said, "You promised me. You promised you'd do whatever it took. I didn't know it would be like this. But now it's too late." Too late for what? He didn't answer. He just looked at the clock. 11:47 p.m. Party. The deadline 11:47 p.m. 13 minutes before midnight. Evan stared at the clock as if waiting for something, or someone, to arrive. I felt an icy ripple crawl under my skin. Too late for what? I repeated, louder this time. He didn't look at me, didn't even flinch. Evan, I said again, stepping closer, what did that man want with your full name? Nothing. He just kept staring at the glowing digital numbers on the microwave as they changed. 11:48, Evan, I snapped. Talk to me. Finally, he turned, but it wasn't relief on his face. It was resignation. You broke the chain, he whispered. What chain? The agreement. What agreement? I didn't agree to anything. He shook his head slowly, painfully. I needed the Blackwell edition. I've waited years for a chance to get it. It only becomes available under specific circumstances. It was meant for me. What is it? I demanded. His jaw tightened. You wouldn't understand. Try me. Instead of answering, Evan walked to his desk drawer, opened it, and pulled out a small black notebook I'd never seen before, worn, frayed edges, pages sticking out at odd angles like something had clawed at them. He held it tightly, knuckles white. This, he said, this is the preliminary version. Preliminary version? I blinked. It's a book? No. Evan said quietly, it's the record. I felt a chill. A record of what? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked toward me slowly, deliberately, like approaching something fragile or dangerous. You remember how I told you, he said softly, that the Blackwell edition was something I've wanted my whole life? I nodded. He swallowed. It's not something you buy because you want it. It's something you earn because you're chosen. Chosen for what? Evan closed his eyes. To continue. My blood ran cold. Evan, you're scaring me. He opened his eyes, and this time they weren't angry or disappointed. They were empty, not like the man's at the table, cold and cruel. Empty like someone who already knows the ending. 11:50 p.m. The knock, 3 sharp knocks, exactly like at that strange back alley meeting. Evan didn't move. He just whispered, they're early. Every instinct in my body screamed, do not open that door. But the knocks came again, louder, more insistent. Knock, knock, knock. Evan, you need to answer, he said softly, almost pleading. If you don't, they'll come in anyway. And trust me, you don't want that. My throat closed. What happens if I open it? I don't know, he admitted. Because you weren't supposed to be here. What does that mean? I live here. Number, Evan whispered. Not for this. Then he stepped back, as if making room for whatever stood on the other side of the door. The knocking intensified. Knock, knock, knock. This time each strike rattled the picture frames on the wall. I shook my head, backing away. Evan, tell me what the Blackwell edition is now. He looked at me with an expression I'd never seen on him. Absolute raw fear. It's a ledger, he said hoarsely. A record of debts. What debts? My family's. The knock stopped. Silence swallowed the room. Then a voice spoke through the door. Midnight. Just that one word. Evan flinched like he'd been struck. The truth begins to unravel. Your family owes money. I asked, terrified and confused. Evan shook his head sharply. No, not money. Then what? He didn't answer. Instead, he opened the notebook in his hands, the frayed one, and showed me a page. It wasn't written in ink. It looked carved, etched, burned into the paper itself. And on that page, written in impossible black lettering, was Evan Marcus Hartley. Balance pending, my stomach dropped. What is this? I whispered. He shut the notebook quickly. I'm supposed to receive the Blackwell edition tonight, he said. And once I have it, I can erase the ledger. For good? For me. For everyone. Erase what? Why you? Why does it matter? He shook his head. It's complicated, but I was chosen because I could pay the debt. Because I have someone who would do whatever it takes for me. My mouth went dry. Me? I whispered. He nodded. You were the one who had to collect the edition. You were the one who had to sign my name. The contract only works if it's done by someone who loves the debtor. I stumbled back a step. That's why he told me to bring cash. To come alone. To write your name, yes. And now that I didn't, Evan didn't answer. The clock changed again. 11:57 p.m. The apartment changes as the minute change. Something happened. Something subtle but horrifying. The temperature dropped. The air thickened. The shadows in the corners of the room lengthened, almost like the light itself was shrinking away. Evan closed his eyes and whispered, it's starting. What's starting? But I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. A soft creaking sound echoed from the hallway, the kind of sound old houses make when settling, except we lived in a 10-year-old apartment. Then another creak. Then footsteps, slow, measured, heavy, coming toward the living room. Evan, I whispered, barely breathing, is someone in the apartment? He shook his head, no. Then It's not someone. The footsteps stopped just outside the room. My heart was slamming against my ribs so violently I thought I might faint. Evan, what do they want? He looked at me with so much sorrow it broke something inside me. They want what was promised. Every debtor owes something. Every ledger must be paid. And what was your family's debt? Evan whispered one word. One terrible, quiet word. Names. 11:59 p.m. The footsteps resume. Coming closer, Evan grabbed my hand. You can still fix this, he said urgently. If you go back, if you agree to complete the process, they might accept it. They might still let me take the Blackwell edition. What if they don't? He swallowed. Then they'll take the equivalent, which is? Evan looked at me for a long time. Then, the person who broke the chain. My blood turned to ice. Me. I whispered. No. Evan snapped. It wasn't you, it was my responsibility to guide you. If anyone pays, it should be me. I'm the debtor. Then why would they take me? Because you entered the process, he said quietly. You spoke to the collector. You touched the card. You participated. I stumbled back, shaking my head violently. No. I didn't agree to anything. You don't have to agree, he whispered. You just have to be involved. A shadow stretched across the wall behind him. Not a person's shadow. Something taller, broader, bent at strange angles. Evan's voice shook. Choose now. Ending the conversation with Mason had been hanging in the air for 2 days, heavy and finished. Like a storm cloud refusing to burst. He hadn't brought up the present again, but I could feel the tension every time our eyes met. It wasn't about the VR headset anymore. It was about what the gift represented. Finally, on Saturday morning, I found him sitting on the couch, scrolling on his phone with that blank, guarded expression he always wore when he felt cornered. I sat down next to him. Mason, I said quietly, can we talk? He put his phone face down but didn't look at me. About the gift, about honesty, I corrected. That got his attention. I told him everything, not accusingly. Not angrily, just truthfully. How I had been saving money for 2 months. How I had picked a gift that came from the heart, not from a price tag. How his obsession with getting the VR headset made me feel like he cared more about bragging rights than the thought behind my gesture. How I felt guilty, pressured, and manipulated into competing with his friends' girlfriends. How it wasn't about money, but about expectations. He listened, really listened, and when I finished, he sighed and covered his face with both hands. I'm sorry, he said finally. I didn't realize I was doing that. I wanted the headset so badly, and when I saw Jake's girlfriend get him one, it made me feel like your gift mattered more if it was expensive. I offered. He nodded. Yeah, I guess I tied it to how much you love me, and that was messed up. It wasn't a perfect apology, but it was an honest one. He reached for my hand. I don't want you to feel pressured. I don't want Christmas to feel like some competition. I want us, just us. Relief washed over me in a slow way. So, he said softly, will you still give me whatever you originally planned? I want that. I want your gift. I smiled for the first time in days. I never canceled it. We made a pact, no price comparisons, no pressure, no competition with other couples. Just meaning, just intention, just us. On Christmas morning, he opened my carefully wrapped box with a softness I'd never seen from him before. It was the sketchbook set, the one he had shown me months ago but forgotten about. The one he once said he wished he had when he was a kid trying to draw comics. His eyes actually watered. He hugged me and whispered, this is the best gift anyone's ever given me. And the best part, he didn't even mention the VR headset. Later that evening, he handed me a small velvet box. Inside was a delicate charm bracelet with a single silver snowflake. Simple, thoughtful, meaningful. A gift that matched mine in heart, not in price. We weren't perfect, but for the first time, it felt like we finally understood each other. And on that quiet, warm Christmas night, I realized